giving your time for this webinar. Your presence is truly appreciated, and I hope that you'll gain something insightful on Sitecore search by end of this session. So before jump on to the topic, let me introduce myself. This is Arvind, having more than 16 years of IT experience. Throughout my career, I have held multiple roles, including developer, project manager, solution architect, and technology lead. I'm a technical blogger and currently working as a senior technology lead for Horizontal Digital in United States. Here are the channels you can reach out to me: Slack, LinkedIn, Twitter. You can also find my repositories on GitHub and code snippets on the GIST. Okay, let's start with the topic today quickly and the agenda for the session and what we would like to cover. I'll start with a very quick review of our previous session, summarizing the topic like what is Sitecore search, its evolution, core components, then some key terms and keywords that you should be familiar with, then some configuration steps. Then we'll cover something about pages and widgets, how important those are. Then we'll jump on how to trigger a query, how we can test it and verify the response of the query. And then we'll have a demo. I mean, maybe we'll cover the demo side by side when I'm explaining the terms. And then at the end, we have a Q&A session if we have something. And then thank you. Okay, so what is search? Very quickly, Sitecore Search is a headless content discovery platform with generic connectors to extract and index content. There are a way where we can extract the content from the HTML by crawling. Sitecore Search can crawl any public HTML page and then extract required fields and attributes out of it. It provides search management controls with A/B testing, analytics, and self-service configurations as well. Let's briefly talk about its evolution. The evolution started with Elasticsearch. Elasticsearch is basically a distributed open source search and analytics engine designed for handling a large amount of data. So it was the whole story started with the Elasticsearch. Around 3 years back, Sitecore acquired Reflection. Reflection is a company that offered AI-powered search and personalization for e-commerce websites. The technology behind Reflection was the Elasticsearch that we discussed. After acquisition, Sitecore introduced Sitecore Discover that was built on top of Reflection. Reflection, basically a product that leverages AI and machine learning to provide personalized recommendation and content to the user. So Discovery is more about product discovery. They continue with the further enhancement into the platform and then launches a generic search and not specific to product and discovery of the products. And that generic tool is the Sitecore search. As we discussed in our previous session, Sitecore search has three main components that interact with your platform. Will not go into the details, but just listing out these components. One is the CEC, which is Customer Engagement Console. This is a portal itself where business practitioner and developers log in and configure source attributes, boosting results, and get analytical view of the performance. The next one is the search and recommendation service. Uh, so search and recommendation services, this basically can be used to build targeted AI-based search and recommendation for your content. And the third one is the event service. The Sitecore Search Event Service processes visitor data that Sitecore uses to optimize search result and recommendations and create a valuable analytics out of it. So the question is how Sitecore Search can provide a personalized content as a search response. And the answer is the on the basis of event service. It can capture all those events from the site itself, and accordingly, it can give you a personalized response after analyzing the data. The content catalog. So this is the very first term that we need to be familiar with. The content catalog represent the actual index data, and you can review the data, you can apply the filter and change its presentation. So this is the basically a view. I can show you how it looks like in the Sitecore platform itself. So before jumping into the Sitecore platform, Sitecore search platform, you need to have the invite. If you don't have the account, you need to have the invite. If your organization is partner of Sitecore, then you can request to your organization um, Sitecore partner representative, and he can provide you the access to Sitecore platform. So let me log into the Sitecore search and let you know how it looks like. So if you can see, this is the Sitecore search platform. Once you get the invite, you register yourself and log into the Sitecore platform, you should be able to see this. And this is the basic platform of Sitecore search, which is we are saying the CEC. And here we are talking about the content catalog. So content catalog is here, the content collection and the content. That is basically a content catalog where you can find the content which has already been indexed into the platform itself. So this is the CEC. Next one is the search experience. Uh, Through search experience, we can traverse through the index content. We can verify that how content was indexed and how data looks like. So we check that through CEC or through catalog, how data you can verify it and you can apply the filters on the basis of the input provided. And then after filter, you can see the relevant content. Then next is widget, which is very, very important. A widget is a way of presenting results that are generated by the API. So we have the pages and we have the widgets. Uh, Let me go back to the CEC and tell you where are the widgets. So there are two types of widgets. One is the global widgets, which is applicable to all pages and all sources. And there are a few specific widgets that you can create. So these are the widgets that myself and my team created here for testing purpose. So these widgets can be used within the pages. We'll cover the pages and widgets again in next couple of slides in a little more details. So these are the widgets. Then we have the search analytics that the very first page that we got. Those are showing the analytics that collected by the platform itself. Currently, you can see that there is no analytics because I was just started with the configuration. I haven't used it onto the one of the sites. Once we configure it and consuming the APIs, search APIs, we should start getting analytical data on this platform itself. Um, so that is the analytical pictures of the Sitecore search. Uh, I think that is from the theoretical point of view. But let's move away from the theoretical and discuss something practical with visual examples. The foremost question from every developer is how to start with the Sitecore search. So let's begin. As I mentioned earlier, if we don't have the platform access, we may need to ask Sitecore partner representative to invite you. Once you get the invite, you need to configure the sources. So setting up your source search account means you are signing up with your invite, and then very first thing that you need to do is configuring source. We'll come with the source again in next slide. Uh, so steps to get started. I collected few of the steps that I gone through, and I think this is the best summary that you can get. So when you start on this platform, when I started on the platform, document was not available, and I had a very hard time to configure it. Now, Sitecore Search provided an extensive set of documentation around this, but that time I didn't have any clue how to configure the system. And that time I figured out few of the steps. So you can go through these steps. I have published one LinkedIn article as well on this, how you can do that. And we'll go through these steps within this demo as well. So you can see that we have we need to analyze the source first, and then after analyze, we can collect the attributes or fields that we want to capture into the Sitecore search so that we can provide the filter on those attributes, and we can also um, display or get a response back from Sitecore search for those attributes. Then we need to create a source and the connector types. Then we'll configure trigger and document extraction. Trigger means when to start and how to start with the crawling. And then document extractors means how to extract the attributes or field values from that page itself. Then we need to save and publish the configuration, and then let platform start scan and index the content. This is what we need to do. After that, platform after publishing, platform should automatically start the crawling process and pulling the content from public facing site to Sitecore search. Then we can verify the index content with the defined attributes, and then we can test and try with the triggering a query and verify the result. So these are the basic steps that we need to follow while working with the Sitecore search platform. So as I mentioned, the first step is the analyzing the source. We must examine the source and identify the attributes are suitable that are suitable for the searching. Once identified, these attributes must be mapped to the search platform. So we'll check how we can do that. Okay, so attribute creation. Let's suppose that we identify the source, I mean the public facing site for which we want to apply the search. We identified it, and then we'll start analyzing it. So the very first thing is Uh, okay, so let's go to the site first. I have opened this one site. I figured out this site, and suppose I want to crawl this site. I want to apply the search within this site. So how Sitecore search can be configured for this? Let's see. So this is the site, and then analysis the source. What does that mean? It means you need to find out that, okay, these are the fields that I want to capture it into the Sitecore search platform. This could be very difficult looking at this, but things would have been easier if we can go with the source. So if we can check the source, we can find out few very important information about the page where we should keep it into the Sitecore search. And if you can see that we have some fields here, if it is not visible here. So the basic crux, and for the sake of simplicity of this demo, I'll limit my analysis and identification of the attributes to the OG tags only. So you can see that we have the OG tags, we have the page title, we have the description, we have the URL, we have the type as well, we have the local as well. So what we can do is at the very simple level, we can parse these information and capture it into the Sitecore search platform itself. So so this is the analysis that we did for the source identification or source analysis. Now we know that these are the information that we want to capture into the Sitecore search. This is the first thing that we need to do. And the second thing is we want to map these attributes into the Sitecore search. So let's check how we can do that. I hope you are already um, uh, checking it, and you all are with me. Khushbu, you can ensure that we are all going good.
Yes, Arvind.
Okay, thank you. Any questions so far on the first step? It should be very, very simple. If you have any public facing site for which you want to apply the search, you need to analyze that site first. For the simplicity of this demo, we are just focusing on very simple field, and those fields are the OG tags. And these are the fields that we want to capture it into the Sitecore search. So the next step is how to ensure that these attributes are already there into the Sitecore search platform. And if not, then from where we can create it. So I'm going back to the CEC platform, Sitecore Search CEC platform, and we go to the administration. Here we have the domain settings. We can go to the domain settings, and the second tab that we have is the attributes. You can check that those attributes are already there or not. If not, then you can create it through this add attribute section. So if you find that if those are not there, we can create a new attribute. So these are the things that we can provide. So entity is the standard content, then the display name and the attributes name, like OG text, we have title, URL. If those are not readily there, we can add it here, and then we can choose the data type as well. So these are the data types that Sitecore Search supports. So integer, double, strings, array, array of strings, object, timestamp, and date time. These are the field types that we can capture. So once it is done, another important thing about the attributes or field is once you define, you can also configure that those fields should be visible and should be used for which purpose. I mean, you can make it required, and if that field don't have the value, crawler will give you the warning message or error message. Then return in the API response. If you want this field to be returned in the API response, then you need to tick it, you need to check it. In similar way, another important attribute is the available for quick look in CEC. I mean, if you check this, this will be visible in the catalog section. If it is not checked and it is unchecked, probably that attribute will not be listed, because you might have around 20 attributes. And if you want to display all 20 attributes in the catalog section, then it will be bulky, right? So maybe you need to, or you are interested into few of the attributes that you want to see and check and verify into the CEC. And only for those attributes, you can check this option on. So this is how you can create the attributes. And once that attribute creation is done, we can move on to the next step. And what is next step? Back to our presentation. We went into the domain settings, and then we covered the attributes and clicking on the add attributes to add a new one that we already covered. And then once we verified that okay, those fields are readily available, and those are, if few fields are missing, then we can create those fields in the attribute section. The next step is configuring source. So where you can find the source again into the administrative section, but the screenshot was taken a way long ago, and Sitecore recently keep on changing the look and feel of the platform. So instead of getting it into the administration, you'll get it into the direct platform itself with the additional menu, and that is you get it sources. So here you have that sources menu. You can just click on it, and then you can add the source. Uh, as we mentioned, we are focusing on this particular site for the crawling purpose. So we'll focus on this configuration to capture the attributes from this website. So we are going into the sources. We add source. We can give the source name, source description, and the connectors. How many connectors are there? These are the important thing again. We have a couple of connectors, 4 type of connectors, which can be used for a specific purpose. So API crawler, if your application or if your public facing site is not available and you want to use to crawl the APIs, not the HTML content, but that content can be a part of your API response. So you can, in that use case, you might need to choose the API crawler in that situation. We have the API push as well, where you can programmatically push the content into the Sitecore search platform. We have the web crawler that we can cover in this session, and the advanced web crawler. In web crawler, it is very simple use where you don't need to worry about too much thing. It is similar to the web crawler advanced, but with very limited feature. But with the advanced, you have multiple things where you can configure the platform to provide the boosters and to configure uh, the filters, predefined filters as well with the advanced. So let's go with the advanced. I have already created that, which is this one. So this is the same. Once you are done, you'll see this sections, field sections, where you can see that, okay, there are multiple options that are there in the advanced section. This is the web crawler advanced menu, where we can see what are the things that we can configure. So this is the source configuration. And then move on back to the presentation slide. After the configuration, I mean, we already covered that, the source name, description, we need to add that. And how many, okay, so the how many crawlers or connectors we already discussed. Then next is the triggers. The next most important part is the trigger. When you configure a source with the Sitecore search, you must create a trigger to determine what content to be looked for. And after that, we need to configure the document extractor to determine how to look for the content. Trigger is basically a starting point for Sitecore search, uses to look for the content and index, and that can be sitemap, JavaScript, functions, RSS feed. We'll go into that into the demo itself. So next thing is the trigger configuration. So let's move on to trigger section. Okay, so this is where we were landed last time. Then there is a section trigger. You can directly click on trigger to jump on that. Otherwise, you can just scroll down the page and you'll find the triggers here. And then you can add it in. In our case, that is what we were trying. As per the demo, we were trying to crawl this. So I copied this and pasted here. And the request type is, these are many requests that we can make. So for this demo purpose, I use the request, but you can use the JS, JavaScript to crawl the page. You have also the RSS. If you want to crawl the page through RSS, you can go with this option. You can also crawl the page or the content through Sitecore through the public facing website with sitemap index as well. So if you want to crawl with the sitemap, then you can also go ahead with the sitemap. If time allows, we can go or we can try with one of these later into the presentation. For now, let's go with the request. So select the request here, and what type of request we are making with this. It's a GET request. We can also have the post, put, and patch depending on the use case. For now, we are going ahead with the GET request and the URL. So what Platform will do is Platform will start crawling this URL with the GET request. So Platform will trigger the GET request to URL, and then it crawls. And then as per the configuration or as per the document extractor, we'll discuss it in the next slide, it start extract the data from the HTML page and put it into the Sitecore search. Okay, so that is all about trigger. Then as per the next slide, we have the document extractor, where we are saying that we configured trigger in the previous steps. Next step is the configure document extractor. So document extractor is the way to extract the required content from the source system to assign the values to the attributes. Once that is configured properly, Sitecore search automatically fetch the content from source and populate all attributes based on the extractor rules that we will be defining as a part of document extractor. So let's move on to the CEC platform again, and let's go to the extractor part. Here we have the extractor, and there are multiple extractor as well. I mean, the type of extractor, we can use the CSS extractor, we have the XPath and JS. CSS, if you want to extract the content on the basis of CSS, we should go with this. We have the XPath that basically used when we are trying to extract the field value from the HTML tags. And we have the JS that represent the JavaScript. If we want to extract the content from JavaScript functions, then we can use the JS. Again, if time allows, we can check with the JS. I have already one sample on this, but that's all depends on the time if we have that. Otherwise, we'll try to cover it in the next demo. For this demo, let's focus on XPath. XPath means um, we uh, will be extracting the content from the HTML element itself. So let me go back here, and that with the XPath, we can create the tagger, add tagger. I have already created this, so we can go through it. But if not, then you can create the add tagger. You can just tape on this add tagger, and then you can configure the similar stuff. So let's go through this tagger, which has already been created. So as you remember, we identified the attributes, and these are the attributes like description, image URL, name, type, and URL. And as I mentioned, we are using the XPath. XPath means reading the content from HTML tags. So these are the HTML tags. We were checking with the meta tags. So here are the meta tags. We were looking for the OG types, titles, descriptions in similar way. We are having the same like to read from this, like description, how we can read it. It's a meta that we are saying that look for the meta element, and the property, look for the property within the meta element, look for the property called OG description. So it select that element, and from that element selection, we want the content part of it. So if we can go here and check that we are looking for the meta element, we are saying that select the description part of the property and then extract the content property of it. So here we are saying that extract the content. In similar way, we have the other tags as well. I mean, these are the image URLs. If you are going here, then we have the image. We are extracting the image URL from image section. Then name, we are checking that we are extracting the name from the title, which is we have the title here. So we should be able to get that title into the title and name field, and similarly title and the URL field. So these are the XPath that we need to configure. So for each and every attribute that we have added, we need to write that XPath parsing rules here. Once we are done, we need to save it, and then we'll be landed on to the same page again. Now, what is the next step? Going back, and in the next step, we have the publishing and publishing the configuration. So next is the publishing or configuration. And once publishing is done, we can verify the content that the index is being built and the content are there. So let's verify that. And you should be able to see these kind of details into the CEC once that indexing is being done. So let's move on again to the CEC. So once publishing is done, after it will take some time, it will put your request into the queue, and on the basis of the load that currently we are having, it will process, and then once it is done, you'll see the finished status here, and then you can also see how many records or how many documents were indexed. So with my last crawl, it indexed 65 items into the tree, into the catalog section. So how to verify that? So let's go back to the content collection and go to the content. Here we should be able to see all those content from that site. We have the multiple sources, so that will give you a list of all sources, but we are currently interested into the source that we have created, and we have created the last test. So let's apply the filter on the our source, which is this one, and the applied. So we can see that all those index items are here, and we can go through each and every one. I mean, you can just tape on this and you can see that all those additional information. You can see that few of the content types are article on the basis of the source. I don't know what type of it is. Currently, it is the website. It could be a different page, not the home page. We'll go and check the other items as well, and you should be able to find the types as website somewhere. But this particular item, if you go to the page, and we can see that if that page should have the type as article. We'll check it further, and the description here, we have the description in the same way. So going back, apply the filter again, and let's move on somewhere. Suppose here, that is again the article, maybe somewhere else. That's again article. We can check that if it is the article or not. Going to the source, and the type is article, right? So it's capturing the perfect information. And that is what you can see that within this, um, similarly, you have the URL where you can check the page and check that these informations are valid or not. Okay, so these are the content that indexed as a part of crawler. Okay, what is the next one? So index verification is done. Then ready to query the index. So now we know that the content is being uh, indexed into the CEC. But now what? So one part is done. Another part is how we can query it. I mean, the indexing is being built as we have done in the Solar. In the Solar advantage, if you can see the advantage here, we haven't write any kind of code. In Solar days, when we want to create a new attribute or field, we need to code, and then we need to configure it into the Sitecore platform, and then we can crawl or we can query that field. But here within this Sitecore search platform, you just need to configure, you just need to create the attributes and fields into the CEC. You can capture the data into those fields, and then you can query that field during into the platform itself. So you can see that there is no code at all. I hope you are still with me. Kushbu, all good?
Yes, Arun, all good.
Okay. So next thing is how to query. So to query to the platform, we need to do certain things. We need to create a page, and we also need to create the widgets, and we need to bind that widget to the page. So what is page then? The page is the entity that hold your widgets, or it basically combine the widgets into the shape to shape the page. A widget is mapped with the page for logical representation of data. To create a page, click on the pages onto the navigation. We'll check that. We'll again go to the CEC and we'll check that how to create a page. And then that is the wizard that is provided by the platform itself, where you can configure the fixed URL, and then you can review. And then once it is reviewed, you can publish it. So we'll go through again into the CC and we'll check. We'll check the widget creation, the same. Then after creating a page, what you can do is you can create a widget. Widget is also having the widget wizard, where you can configure it, and then you can like check that, okay, widget is applicable to the page or dialog or common across all pages. And the next one is the style that you can check, and then the review, and then that's it. And then finally you need to save it and then publish it. After saving, you need to publish the widget. Okay, then uh, this is the thing, like currently the Sitecore search can have only one widget per page. It cannot have multiple widget on a single page. When you try to drop a widget onto the page, which is already having one widget, you will find this warning message. And there is a reasoning behind it. We'll discuss that, why it is there, and probably Sitecore Search will fix this to introduce more widget into the page so that we can query um, individual widgets from the page itself. But we'll see that when to use the page and how we can make use of the widget later. Okay, now how to configure the page and widget. Let's go back to the CEC, and you can just check that this is the page menu. Here is the page where you can create the pages. I have already created multiple pages, but for to create a new page, the same, we have this, the landing page, the page that is the wizard that we were talking about. So once you are done, you will be landed on this kind of listing. So these are the pages. And once that page is done, you need to save it and publish it. After pages, we have the widgets. We need to create the widgets. I have already created multiple widgets, but in similar way, you can add the widget here. So here the option is the preview search or search result. You can go ahead with the search result and configure it. Now, once you are done with the widget, you can configure it. I mean, configure it for what sense? Like um, what you can do with the widget. So one, that widget is you are successfully created the widget. You'll see this kind of URL, a page where you can see the all items that are already been indexed into the platform. And then onto the widget, you can you can apply the filters, like you can add the context. In the context, you can say that I am interested into the content type, which is the JSON content type, and I'm looking for the keyword, which is united. So if I go through this and then come back here, then if it finds the results having the united in the title, those will be listed on topmost priority, and the next item will be listed down there. So that is what you can apply the filter, and you can have it. So you can see that currently there is no result because it didn't find the keyword united. If I remove this and go back here, there should be some pages. Okay. And then go back. Just trying to refresh it. What happens? It might take some time. Okay, these are the pages. Like here are the page listing. Then we can drag and drop pages here to give the priority, right? So currently there is no result here, but you can drag and drop your pages here, and it will give you the priority. Could not get the rules. There should be something. Okay, those are actually not. Here we have. It's giving some exception. Okay, so we'll come back here, but the thing is, you can give the priority. You can add few of the pages into this slot, and it will boost your pages here. Probably there. Oh, okay, those are still there. That is why it is not listed. Clear all. Clear all. Saving it and then going back, and you should be able to see these items, right? So that was still applicable. We just removed the filter. We didn't remove the condition at all. So now you can see this. And now if you can set the priority, I mean, boosting the result. Like you don't want to see this on second, you always want to see on first. So you just drag and drop here. Okay, that is pinned actually. Let me add this one here. Somehow it is not working. So boost. Okay, I have applied the boost. You can configure the boost rules. So items that are into this bucket will getting the boost, and that should be displayed on top. In the similar way, if you downgrade the priority of the certain items, you can push those items into here, and then it will be downgraded to this search response. So this is how you can configure the widgets, and then uh, the widgets can be associated with the page. So once page is created, you can drag and drop your widgets into this. So here we have the select page, and all those pages, that is all those widgets that are being created through the system will have the list of it. And then you can drag and drop here. This page is already having the widget. If you are keep on adding new one, remember I mentioned that you cannot have this. First, you need to remove the existing one, only then you can use it, or you can just replace it as it mentioned. So you can also replace it. Now you might have the question that, okay, what is the purpose of the page and widget? So I'll let you know when it it makes sense to, and where is the use of widgets and how we can directly query the widgets. So suppose we are done with the page and widgets. Now, what is the next step? So the next step is test the query. Now, here, if you can see and pay attention, we have the page here. It means you need to select a page first. And then once you select a page, this dropdown will give you the all widgets that are associated with the page. So it will not give you the list of all widgets available on the platform. It will give you a list only the widgets that are associated with the selected page. So this is how the widgets can be selected. And then you can hit on the build button. Once the selection is done and you hit the build, it will give you the request payload. So this will be the request payload. And then once you get the request payload, you can just hit on the run button to get the response. And if your configuration are all good, you should be able to get the response back within the same window. So let's go back to the CC and check how we can verify the content. So these are the pages and widgets. We are done with it. And then we are going to check the API response. So here, because API is purely relevant to the developers, so you just need to tape on the developer resources. And then here we have the API Explorer. Okay, once we are on the API Explorer, we have the page dropdown where we can select the page. Suppose this is the page I'm looking into it, and then if this is the page, it will give you the list of the all widgets. Currently, this page has only one widget, so it will automatically populated with your selection. So once it is done, the next step is to click on the build. Oops, let me refresh. Go to here, widget, and then sometimes it happens, especially during the demo. Okay, now I'm hitting the build. I got the payload and I can hit the run button. So if everything goes well, I will get the response, and here you can see the response. So now you can see that, okay, everything is perfectly working fine. Then what you can do is in your application, you can give the same payload while calling the API. And when you are passing the same payload, you'll get the response back here. So this is just a testing tool provided by the CC itself so that you can verify your result. You can also make some like keyword search. Suppose I'm searching for the keyword like maybe blog, and again hitting the build button, it will change the payload, and then I'm hitting the run again. So it is giving me the response back, which is having the blog as a keyword. So you can see that there is only one matching response. Rest, it is not giving the response back. It is just a one item. Okay, that is the query. You can also add the source. I mean, we had the multiple source, so this will give you the result from all sources that have into the platform itself. But you can also provide the condition for the sources. How you can provide it? We can provide it like, if I remember it correctly, sources and this, and then we have something like source ID. So I can put into the source ID. Yeah, it is. So here, if we want to limit our filter or query, we can give this to look into the only one single source. So suppose if I remove this keyword here or key phrase and running this, let me remove this and build again. I'm removing the blog as well. Let's go back to the, yeah. So you can see that we have the multiple response now and the multiple source as well. Like you can see that this is the different source ID, this is the different source ID. But I can limit my query with one single source. And that would be, suppose I'm interested only in this source. I can change the query and add this source. So it will remove this one in the response. Now I'm hitting the run. What wrong? Why is bad? Okay. I think my query is not correct. Let me figure this out where it is.
Source ID instead of
Yep.
sources.
No. It
Keyword.
should be sources only. I have the query ready with me somewhere. Okay. I think there's something here. So now it should be fine. So you can see that now we have the data with one single source ID. Right? So this is how we can limit the source, particular source. Okay, that is it. What is next? We can. So next is we already covered this. The next one is the apply filter. So we applied one filter on the basis of source, but if you want to apply the filter on the basis of a particular field, then this is how we can do. I mean, we can just add the filter as an attribute and then name of the attribute for which we are looking. And then the type of the operation, EQ means equal, and the value is JSON. So it will give you the filter having the content matching the same filter. Like if the type is equal to JSON, it will return you the JSON based results. So this is the sample query again. And then we have the scan status notification. You can configure a CC platform that whenever scans happens, you should get that email that whether it was successful or failure. So you can configure it in this way. You can just give you the email address into the My Account section, and then you're good to go. So whenever next time indexing happens, you'll receive the email notification that whether it was success or failure. And this is a kind of notification you'll get in your email. So with this, the result, like, I mean, it was created and the result like success. If it is successfully indexed, then you'll get the success. Otherwise, you'll get the failure. Demo, we done with the side by side. And then next is questions. So any questions, if we can have, we can discuss it regarding anything. Any question, any confusion, any doubt?
Mm, I have one question, Arvind.
Yep, go ahead.
So, um, like currently, I'm working on a Cubio headless with one of
Mhm.
our clients. So, and we are using the sitemap source, and it provides the facility to like when it crawls the pages. So we like always we don't want to crawl the everything on a page, right? We can
Correct.
scrap out some of the HTML tags or something like that. So
Yep.
is there any configuration with Sitecore search where we can provide instruction that we want to scrap this part of the page or something like that?
So this is why we configure the attributes, right? So we are or Sitecore search won't crawl everything within your page. By default, it will not crawl anything. It all depends on the attributes that you have configured here. So these are the only attributes search will parse or search will look for. So it will extract only these attributes. So even though you have the huge page, it will crawl the page and extract only these values. It will store into the platform only these values, these attributes, not the entire thing.
Hmm. Okay. And this will apply to all pages.
All pages, yes.
Okay.
You can also limit, I mean, you can define that URL to be matched. So if certain attributes are there to certain pages only, then you can add the matcher here so that those extraction rule will be applicable to only those matched URLs, not to all. All other URLs will be simply ignored.
Okay, got it.
Hello, Arvind.
Yep.
Yeah,
Good.
actually, I'm new to Sitecore and I want to know for which version of Sitecore it is applicable, means this search functionality.
So this is the beauty of the platform that it doesn't need any kind of Sitecore version. It is standalone product and you can integrate it with any of the application, whatever the platform your application is, because everything is headless way. You need to interact with this through APIs only, right? And API can be consumed on any platform. So whatever the platform, if it is capable enough to manage the API calls, you can use this platform. So there is no dependency on Sitecore.
Okay, thanks. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Any other question? Oh, we are overrunning time. 5 minutes. Okay, no problem. I'm here. If you have any questions, we can discuss it now. If not, then feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn, Twitter, email, whatever the channel you would like to connect to me.
Sure. And thank you. Thank you for staying up late at your night. And thank you all for joining.
My pleasure. Thank you,
Eh,
everyone. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for all your efforts for the session. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Arvind. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.